A Karen accuses me, an amputee with a prosthetic arm, of pulling a knife and attempting to stab her and manages to get the attention of the police. Here's what happened. A Karen accuses me, an amputee with a prosthetic arm, of pulling a knife and attempting to stab her and manages to get the attention of the police. Here's what happened. So, some backstory. I'm a 27-year-old amputee who lost his arm in a devastating car accident a few years back. I remember that day like it was yesterday. The sound of the screeching tires, the smell of burning rubber, and the feeling of complete helplessness as I watched my arm get crushed under the weight of the car. Yeah, that day gives me PTSD. It was a miracle that I even made it out alive, not being burnt to a toast, and I'm so grateful for that. So that accident left me with a mechanical prosthetic arm that I've learned to navigate in my daily life. So now to the story. I was on my way to grab a coffee at Starbucks, just like I do every morning on my commute to work, when this old woman starts acting up. I'm walking down the street trying to enjoy my morning when I see a police car parked outside the coffee shop. I didn't think much of it, just assumed they were on a break or something. I walk into the shop and get my usual order, a latte with sugar, and as I'm about to sit down and drink, this Karen walks up to me and starts screaming, "He has a knife! Help me! He's trying to stab me!" and pointing at me. I was so confused and scared. Who had a knife? Then I realized she was talking to me. I'm like, what the F are you on about? "Everyone help me! He has a knife! He's gonna stab me! Please help me!" I was initially scared, wondering who had a knife, but I realized that this lady was talking to me. The conversation then went as follows. So I told her, "What are you talking about?" "I don't have a knife, madam." The crowd around looks devastated. "Everyone, he's lying. He pulled it on me. He said he's gonna stab me." "I literally only have one arm. How could I pull a knife?" She manages to get the attention of the police parked outside and runs and screams for help. The police come over and yell at me to drop a knife when I don't have a knife. I scream to them I don't know what's going on and I don't have a knife. The officer seems to be confused and further inspects me and realizes this Karen was bullshitting. Karen then realizes her lie is crumbling apart and then says something along the lines of, "Officer, help me. I don't feel safe around N-words." The officer had enough of her and put her in her place by telling her to shut the fuck up right as she uttered that word. Another officer turns to me and apologizes for the inconvenience, and I'm like, inconvenience? This woman just accused me of having a knife and being a threat. That's not an inconvenience. That's a felony, no? The police try to talk to her, but she ain't having none of it. She's still going on about how I'm a threat and all that. At this point, it was clear Karen was facing delusions or having some sort of manic episode. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she's high on drugs, experiencing psychosis. The police tell her I ain't got no knife. It's my prosthetic arm, but she ain't listening. They decide to cuff her and escort her from the premises for causing a nuisance. She starts screaming and mumbling random-ass words. I decide to file a complaint against her for racist behavior and false accusations. I ain't gonna stand for that shit. People like her need to be held accountable for their actions. I'll post an update when I get the justice I deserve. In case you were wondering, this occurred in an area near London, where knife crime is prevalent. Also, my latte became cold. Thankfully, one of the Starbucks workers decided to make me another one, free of charge. Like, seriously, what the hell is wrong with some people? This Karen was definitely high on something. Can you even imagine the level of absurdity here? Like, how could someone even come up with such a ridiculous lie? And the fact that she tries to play the victim and then drops the racist card is just mind-blowing. I feel so bad for the OP. Being falsely accused of something like that is not only terrifying, but also damaging to one's reputation and mental health, especially since OP has PTSD. And to top it off, he didn't even get to enjoy his morning coffee because of this insane woman. Boo, Karen. I'm glad that the police saw through her lies and took action, but I hope that the OP gets the justice he deserves. This kind of behavior is unacceptable and should not go unpunished. What do you guys think of this situation? Let me know in the comments. An entitled dad assaults me for faking an injury. Yeah, I was not faking it. So I just left the hospital about a week or so ago due to a really bad pain behind my knee. So bad that I couldn't sit, stand fully upright, walk, lay down, nor bend or fully straighten my leg. It came out of nowhere and got progressively worse every day that I ended up bedridden for 2 weeks. Also to note that even though the summer heat is coming to an end where I live, I drank plenty of cold water to the point where I'd have to get up every hour to use the bathroom throughout the day. The pain was so bad that I would lose the urge and would just lay in bed all day, not even wanting to get up to eat or pee because it was so bad and sensitive to the touch that at any movement would make me wince. Doctors were baffled, so there was a CT scan and an MRI done, as well as bringing in an oncologist because I had a large mass of fat behind my leg, a tumor about the size of a football. Hearing oncologist almost brought me to tears as I feared for the worst. It turns out what I thought was a really bad cramp was actually torn tendons and ligaments in my leg. I hadn't fallen or hit my leg against anything, which is what confused everyone. And the large mass was just a fatty tumor. Nothing too serious according to the doctors and surgeon. No operation was done. It's not cancerous, and I was told in a few weeks the swelling would go down and my leg should heal naturally. I've been using a walker since discharge, and just recently the pain is much more tolerable that I no longer need it. But still use a walking cane because there's still a chance I could fall, and I won't risk it for a biscuit. Now that that's out of the way, on to the story. I've been given hydrocodone upon discharge for the pain, but only for 3 days as it's pretty strong and one could possibly get addicted. So I've been taking Tylenol after my meds ran out as it's the strongest over-the-counter medicine I could get. I have to keep my leg either very still while lying down or constantly moving it, i.e. walking, as it hurts if I stand still for too long. This incident happened 2 days ago. Instead of sitting at home doing leg exercises in bed and waiting for my dad to go bring me my pain meds, I decided to go with him to keep myself moving, hoping it would help me, plus spend more quality time with him. We've had an on and off bumpy relationship. So we head to the pharmacy, and once we're there, I decided I also wanted some jacket snacks. I informed my dad about this, and so he doesn't have to slowly follow me around, I suggest he go out to get some quick groceries at the supermarket across the street. He agrees, and we go about our separate ways for a while. I go around with a basket and pick my stuff up along with pain meds, taking my time, then head to the counter up front. This is where the entitled dad and his son come into play. The son was quiet the entire time, didn't say a word. As I'm standing in line, I put my basket down next to me and hold on to my cane. As mentioned before, it hurts to stay standing still for too long, and my hands start to wobble a bit as I'm struggling. ED is behind me in line and makes a snide remark about me struggling to stand, saying how I should quit being a drama queen, you can wait. I turn to him and glare for a few seconds before replying, I have a bad leg, I can't stand for too long, in a deep, irritated tone before turning away. As I do, this man has the absolute nerve to walk over, pick up my basket, and start rummaging through my items. I turn and demand loudly, put down my basket now, to ensure I grab other people's attention. He scoffs and hands it to his son, who's about maybe 6 years old and carrying their own basket, and keeps rummaging, picking out and commenting on my snacks, and gets to my pain meds. What are you, some sort of junkie? What's with all the painkillers? You're getting off on these, aren't you? There's only 3 other people in line who are either staring or trying not to get involved. I ignore his question and ask for my basket back. This angers ED, and he asks again in a much louder voice, You're getting off on these, aren't you? As he throws the stuff back into the basket, I'm almost up to the counter next, but I walk a bit closer as my leg was now starting to feel a bit stiff and ask once again for my basket. ED shouts, fine, and as I hold my hand out to grab it, he, instead of handing it to me, throws it forward towards me. I'm only 5'7", and this man was about 6 foot something, pretty tall guy, and threw it at chest height as if tossing a basketball. So basically, he tossed it at my head. I put my hands up not to catch it, but to block it from hitting me in the face. As soon as it hit me, I was knocked backwards, stumbling with my leg in pain from the sudden movement, as I tried to catch my balance or grab onto something, anything so I wouldn't hit the floor. If I'd fallen against the counter, it would have been much better, as I'd still be standing, but I fell straight on my butt and onto my back. The rope around my wrist for my cane, coupled with the momentum, made the cane spin back, and I landed on it with my right arm. I can't tell you how much I screamed and cried in agony as I fell and lay there trying to move my body to my right side. I can't even sit down normally without pain, and have to lean most of my body to the right whenever I sit down on the toilet seat, at the dinner table, or even sitting upright on my soft mattress. Any weight or pressure on my leg makes it hurt, and it's uncomfortable and gives me backaches, so landing hard straight down was absolute hell. The other customers, as well as the cashier and store manager, started shouting at the guy while trying to help me up. I declined, wanting to stay on the floor as it'd be much better than if I was sitting or standing, and demanded loudly for the cops to be called and to not let the man go, as I was sure as shit going to be pressing charges. ED doubles down and shouts back at everyone else. I mean, look at him, he's exaggerating, he's not hurt. Look at all these pain meds, walks to my basket and takes out my stuff. He's buying. He's probably getting high off these. How in the fuck? No one person needs this many Tylenol. He's an addict. He doesn't even need this. He proceeds to kick my cane away, but the strap is still around my wrist. It's all fake, it's an act. As he's finishing his stupid speech, his voice is starting to shake as I'm guessing he's realized he's not going to win this one. He goes and grabs his son's hand, puts his basket down, and tries to speed walk out of the store, muttering something along the lines of, "Come on, son's name, we don't need this, we'll go to another store." But one customer blocks his path, as well as the manager who's already on the phone with the dispatcher and saying officers are on their way. Upon hearing this, ED bolts, dragging his kid along and shoves the customer blocking his path into the metal detector near the entrance. ED stumbles as a woman with her child in a stroller starts to walk in. ED is dancing left to right, trying to get past the woman who's now just standing there confused as to what's happening. The shoved customer gets back on his feet, runs up to ED, spins him around 180 degrees, and tackles him to the floor, keeping him pinned. Fast forward to my dad coming back and asking what the hell happened. I explained, as well as the other customers and manager. Police arrive after a while and everyone starts to explain what happened. Statement was given, charges were pressed, and the ED was taken in cuffs to the backseat of a squad car. His son stayed behind and would be picked up by his aunt. The only thing he said was, "I'm sorry," before we left. Wow. What a shitty situation to be in. I'm glad you pressed charges. I think you should also sue him for the pain and suffering. Does the store have cameras? Because that video would be great in court. This is how a wild Karen got arrested with a felony. I'm a 35-year-old father of 2 boys. I have PTSD due to time overseas and have the physical scars to match the mental scars. I have an incredible wife that knows me and knows what situations I should avoid. My children are amazing, but this story revolves around my youngest son and my service dog. Jay, my youngest son, has autism, and we share a special bond because some things that set him off also put my teeth on edge. Spike, my English bulldog, he's my service dog. He's well-trained, lazy, judgmental, and overall uninterested in anything he can't eat. He's also very in tune to Jay and my emotions, and will provide a distraction when we get overwhelmed. Basically, he's like, "Oh, you're stressed? Here, scratch my butt. You'll feel better and I'll get attention." It's a win-win. So here's the story. My family recently moved to Texas. Because we now live very close to an amusement park, we got memberships. Shout out to the park for being amazing when it comes to special needs. This particular park in Arlington, Texas has a special program for autistic people. They have rooms set aside to chill at if you're overstimulated so you can relax, go back out, get overstimulated again, and around you go. With Jay, we also don't have to wait in lines. This is a huge thing and the cause of this story. The park has a pass that lets you skip most of the lines, and they charge an arm and a leg for this. However, with that pass, you still end up in a line of hundreds of people that also have that pass. Jay gets no lines at all. We get a special pass when we go in through the exit. The worker signs the pass when we go on the ride. Jay has a favorite ride, the log ride. There has been days that we would ride the log ride over and over, and then eat. We also have the food pass, which we pay for, and then go back to the log ride. On this day, T, my oldest, and Jay wanted to go on the log ride. So we made our way to the exit and left wife and Spike in the shade because someone has to stay with him, and bulldogs plus rides don't mix. As we're going in the exit, a woman starts screaming at us. I have absolutely no hearing on my right side, thanks to high-pressure wave, so didn't consider it worth turning my head to listen. Now, because we ride this ride almost exclusively, the workers on this ride know us by name and sight. Jay even talks to them, which is rare. We go in, show the pass, sit, and ride. This time, though, Karen the woman was screaming at us as we were walking in through the out, made her way to where the speedy pass ends at the ride, where a red shirt will check her pass and let her go on her way. She didn't even want to ride. She just wanted to yell about us going in through the exit and how we're abusing the system. Now anyone that looks at Jay can see he's in a world of his own, and wouldn't be surprised if he's literally reading the future or talking to aliens. He's awesome. The red shirt tries to calm her down. T is getting upset because he's a normal 9-year-old and adults yelling is uncool. Jay making his excited sounds and waiting for the log to stop so he can get in. We get in, and as we float away, we still hear Karen screaming. The ride ends and we exit. We figured we would never see Karen again, but obviously, it didn't go that way. Karen appeared like a dark brother after making the sacrifice. Elder Scrolls reference, hooting and screaming. She's screaming that just because Jay is an R word doesn't mean we get extra rights. The screaming causes Jay to let out his super screech. Now, anyone that knows autism knows that autistic kids have superpowers. In Jay's case, it's a supersonic, ear-shattering, high-pitched screech that makes your eyes swim and makes it feel like things in your head are moving that shouldn't. This whole time, Spike was laying on the ground in a froggy position, as bulldogs do, just looking at Karen like she's a rabid dog, but not worth getting up for. As we're being screamed at, I see 2 officers approaching from behind Karen. I smile. My smile must have broke Karen, because she hauls off and kicks Spike. This flips my switch, because now my family's literally under attack, and I start to react. Before I can make contact, Karen is already in the air, being held, carried, half dragged away while being cuffed. Now in front of me is a well-dressed and pissed-looking officer. He tells us he heard the screech and started heading to it because they thought a ride broke or something bad happened. I take the time to unflip that switch and examine Spike. He's limping and crying. I feel his hips and feel that his hip is dislocated. I jokingly ask the officer to walk away and let me get some. He, of course, has no humor to this, but also can tell I had a career. He asked what happened, and we all explained what happened from A to Z. He asks if Spike is a service dog. I say yes. He smiles. I'm not in a smile mood, but it catches me off guard. He explains that in Texas, to intentionally injure a service dog is a felony. By this time, park security arrived and issued a trespass order to Karen. The officers asked if I want to press charges. I look at Spike and look back. Yes, I say. Karen and her tiny mouse-like husband start to freak out as Karen is loaded into a golf cart. We hop on a cart too and leave to go to the vet. The vet fixed Spike and all is well. We went back the next day with Spike in a stroller. No one batted an eye and everyone loves the bulldog in a stroller. I let people pet him. He's a hoot. And the park is an amazing place. I've been contacted by the investigating officer and have given depositions. I may have to testify, but I look forward to sitting on the bench with Spike on my lap. I can't even begin to imagine how ridiculous and out of line this woman was. First of all, let me just give a shout out to the amusement park for having amazing accommodations for special needs individuals. That's awesome. But then we have this Karen, who apparently didn't even want to go on the ride. She just wanted to scream at our OP and his family for using the special pass to skip lines. Can you believe that? And then, to top it off, she kicks their service dog Spike, causing him a dislocated hip. I mean, come on, Karen. Have some decency. And to think, all this because of a ride at an amusement park. I can't even. I'm so glad the officers were around to intervene and arrest this woman for her felony. What do you guys think of this absurd situation? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, y'all should watch this next video on screen where a racist Karen calls cops on a black dad who has a white son. Yeah, that's just sad to be honest.